New Mexico exam prep, page 22. 4. Don't disturb the neighbors. 5. Abide by the rental agreement and resident rules and regulations. D. Payment for rent. 1. The resident shall pay the rent according to the rental agreement. If there is no agreement, the resident shall pay the fair market rental value. 2. Rent is payable without demand or notice, and unless otherwise agreed, rent is payable at the dwelling unit. 3. Periodic rent is payable at the beginning of any term of 1 month or less. Monthly installments are due at the beginning of each monthly period. A 1 month term is from the same date this month to the same date the next month. 4. Residency is month to month unless another time is agreed upon. 5. Rent does not include damage deposits. 6. An owner is permitted to demand a damage deposit to recover damages caused by the resident. 7. The owner is not required to pay interest on the deposit if the deposit does not exceed 1 month's rent. If the term is less than 1 year, the deposit must not exceed 1 month's rent. 8. If the owner receives a deposit greater than 1 month's rent, the owner must annually pay interest equal to past book interest rate. 9. If the last month's rent is prepaid, it is not considered to be a deposit, and a deposit is not considered prepaid rent. 10. Upon termination, the owner may apply the deposit to payment of rent and to payment of damages. The deposit or prepaid rent balance must be mailed to the resident within 30 days with written and itemized accounting. A. The maximum time that a broker may legally hold onto a security deposit is 30 days. B. If the owner/broker fails to provide the refund and accounting, the resident may recover the entire deposit. A $250 fine, reasonable attorney fees, and court costs. An owner or manager that fails to meet the 30-day requirement gives up the right to any further action for recovery. E. Notice of termination. 1. A week-to-week residency may be terminated by written notice at least 7 days prior to the termination date. 2. A month-to-month residency may be terminated by written notice at least 30 days prior to the termination date. 3. If the rent is unpaid when due and the resident fails to pay rent within 3 days after written notice from the owner of non-payment and his intention to terminate the rental agreement, the owner may terminate the rental agreement and the resident shall immediately deliver possession of the dwelling. Page 23. 4. For a breach of the rental agreement by the owner or tenant aside from non-payment, the affected party may give a 7-day notice to cure the breach or terminate the tenancy. 5. The Act defines substantial violation as criminal activity, assaults, property damage, and drug use. An owner may give a non-recourse 3-day notice to terminate the tenancy if a substantial violation has occurred. 6. If the landlord fails to maintain the property or repair a condition that affects the habitability of the premises, the tenant may be entitled to abate, not pay a portion of the rent for the period that the property is not fully usable. F. Service of notice. 1. Service of notice is important in a rental agreements. A person has notice of a fact if the person A has actual knowledge, B has received notice or notification, or C has reason to know that something exists based on all facts and circumstances known to her at the time. 2. A person notifies or gives notice by taking steps reasonably calculated to inform the other person. People receive a notice or notification when A. It comes to their attention. B. It is delivered to the owner's place of business, or when C. It is delivered to the residence unit.